In this episode, we're going to cut through the noise and talk about chromatic lines. No, I'm not going to tell you to look at your pentatonics and just fill the gaps in your playing. I'm not going to tell you to play all of the outside notes. We will look at one approach at a time, cut through the noise, and you'll find out that the final lesson in this is rhythmic placement. If you can place your chromatics well with appropriate targets, you can basically play anything and you can get away with murder. Not literally, so let's get going. Before we get going, I just want to mention this lesson is perfect if you can already solo with blues scales or some basic scale on a 251 or on some standards or even in a rock world, but you want to add more colors into it. That's the perfect lesson for you. Chromatic lines have little meaning without any context, so the magic lies in the rhythmic placement. There's a theory by Charlie Banacos, which is 12 passing notes or 12 chromatic examples, which you can find online, which is tremendous, but basically we're looking at a way to target one note. Assume we have a C on the fretboard, and we're going to say, well, we could approach it chromatically from below and from above. That would be one way to do it. Or I could do two above and two below. Or I could do blend of one above, one below, and target, or one below and one above, and etc. So there's only so many ways in which we can target a tone. What we'll do in this video is target specific tones, not just for a static C major, but moving within the progression. So we'll put the progression on the screen, which is D minor 7 to a G dominant or G13 flat 9 to a C major. So yes, it's a good old C major, and we can do a lot of different things, but at first we have to pick, and I will pick for you some of the basic target tones for each chord. We will employ one chromatic approach for each, not a dozen, not arpeggios with convoluted passing tones or bebop scale rules, or what's the word, approach note, I forget, but they're called enclosures. We're not going to do enclosures on every chord tone. We'll do on one, and we'll make sure that rhythmically it's well placed, and that's going to change your playing forever. So here's what I want to do. On the D minor 7, I want to target an A note. What's the A? The A is literally the fifth. The A. How did I recognize that this A was a fifth? So there's another video of mine recently which is tremendous. People really loved it. It's a way to navigate that structure on the fretboard and to immediately see that's a fifth, that's a third, that's a seventh, that's a ninth. It's called fretboard navigation. So highly encourage you to check that out if you can't recover these tones quick enough. So for the D, I'm going to do the fifth. For the G, I'm going to do the fifth as well, G, which is a D note. And for the C major, I'm going to do the E, which is a third. So our skeleton line, which we will build in, say, whole notes, like one note per chord, would be something like this. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4. Without the chord, 3, 4, ba-ba-da, 3, 4, ba-da, like we are actually making the changes in a very minimal fashion. Now, we can start to implement some chromatic lines into these tones. Next up, I prefer to start with chromatics from below as they sound more crunchy, right? So I go like, okay, this is my D minor 7, I'm gonna go, right? It's sort of whiny, bluesy, into the D, and then it gives this old-timey feeling, weird thing. We can blend and mix and match later, but let's do this in tempo, and we'll talk about it after. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3. Good job. Let's do this again. 3, 4. 2. Good. Now, did you notice? One of the biggest shortcomings or pitfall that people fall into is like, oh, I have to do this, and then they let the chord hit, and then they start to do the chromatic. So what I'm telling you guys is no, you should definitely have that fifth or the target note right on beat 1, and this is what I've done in the example. Did you notice? 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, and now it doesn't matter if I want to approach it from above. I got my rhythmic formula already laid out for me, and I pre-hear the skeleton line that we've already built together, right? So the 5th of D minor, the 5th of G, and the 3rd of C. This guy, this guy, this guy. You have to remember that line, guys. It's not a big lick to remember. So what if we put it on and I let myself play around this a little bit to go from above, from below, just a 1 fret, and I keep the same formula of hitting the tone right on beat 1. A 1, 2, 3, 4. Maybe above and below. Now let's get creative. So you see, after I let myself go, I'm like, oh, maybe I'm gonna cack. That's a target, but I maybe not hit the bullseye. I'm before it, I'm after it, but it doesn't really matter because at least the foundation of this is really clear and simple for me. So notice we are not randomly selecting chromatic notes just to plug in the holes, and we are targeting and aiming at having something that's laying on beat 1. Sure, in my example, I got creative and I got late on the target note, or I made it early on like the end of 4. It's fine to start exploring, but you find that your baseline is still this skeleton concept to add lines. Now, we've simply added the above and below, but notice if you wanted to do combinations, there are things that lay themselves really well to say a C chord. I'll give you an example. If we're on a C and this is your target note, which is the E note, if I did 1 above and 2 below, you've heard this lick a million times, right? So the point is, if you hear a really great jazz improviser doing this, like Freddie Hubbard or Charlie Parker, they're looking at going to the 3rd of C, and they pre-hear it, and they go like, yeah, I want to get there, but just not quite yet. So I go, pero, bada. So they're not thinking about the chromaticism itself. They're thinking about the target, and they're weaving in other notes that they want to hear. Now, what other notes? Bebop scales. Sure, you can look at the Barry Harris that says when you descend the scales, there are different rules. But remember that all these rules and patterns to add notes and descending and doing this chromatically, unless this or unless that, has only one purpose, is for you to pre-hear and to have the rhythmic placement be in the right place with these added chromatic notes. In passing, in my own personal experience learning chromaticism and teaching and playing gigs, the thing that had the most impact was to look at one chromatic approach. So if you're working on the one I showed you before, I would recommend you do this on the 1 chord, on the 2 chord, on the 5 chord, and that's the 3rd degree. So do it on the 3rd, on the 5th, on the 7th, and do the same approach in different ways so that you can abstract a concept, meaning that I will see a black cat, right? Then I will see another cat. Oh, this one is sort of white with stripes. Okay, and I see a Garfield cat, and I like my very human, non-artificial intelligence mind will go, cat. So what we want to do is to be able to extrapolate and abstract from the same single idea. This works way, way better than trying to accommodate for all of the enclosures, all the passing tones, and all of everything, just because of the way my mind works, basically. So one chromatic tone, because remember, say you're playing in a key, like the key of C or D Dorian or whatever, you have 7 notes available. There's only 12 notes in total, so what I recommend is go with 7, and then add 1 more, so now you have to deal with 8 notes. So you juggle with 1 more, not 12. Go from 7 to 8 before you go from 7 to 12. So in a nutshell, this gives your solo immediate sophistication and clarity without the need for extra theory, extra scales, or any explainer. Sure, you may look at the chromatic approach and say, this pertains to the altered scale. For sure, the after the fact is there. But the point is, it's less important where it came from than where it's going to go, where you're landing, in the sense that as I said in the introduction, you can get away with murder if you learn to land. Again, the cat analogy, the cat will always land on its feet. It's sort of crazy, right? So if you land well on your feet, you can play anything. That said, play anything, but don't get in this constant frenzy of chromatic notes unless this is really your intent. And know that this is a tool we have in our toolbox to just add intensity. People think intensity, I have to play more notes faster, I have to play more altered scale. But if you will listen to players like Jim Hall and Kenny Burrell, sometimes it's very minimal, but the musical intensity is raised by the rhythmic placement and the chromatic tensions created within the lines. So your next step, pick a 2-5-1. Pick a song you like, you're already soloing on, pick a blues and go one chromatic approach into each of these tones that I selected. And then once you get really good at that, maybe tomorrow or next week, you can have 2 chromatic notes added. And then you'll see that you're developing your linear vocabulary. So that's it for video. Please like and subscribe if you've enjoyed this episode. Shoot me a comment with any other things or any ways you want to talk about chromaticism. Check out the Charlie Bonacos, not affiliated, but a simple Google search. You can find a PDF with all different approaches. Spoiler, there are 12 approaches that are possible, because beyond 12 you will start to get away further from the target. So there's only 12 ways that you can centralize and get back to one target note. On that note, I'll see you soon on the channel and on the website and on the school free fellowship, of course, for hundreds of lessons, videos, podcasts, chord melodies, standard songs with scales, chords. We have monthly contests now on the fellowship, so join us there. I'll see you inside. Take care.